So finally, after 18 months of waiting, Umbrella Academy Season 2 has finally been released on Netflix. And after all that wait, it was... okay. First though, let's go back and talk about Season 1. My Chemical Romance is my favorite band of all time, so naturally, I was extremely excited when Gerard Way's comic The Umbrella Academy was made into a Netflix series in February of 2019. I'm not really much of a comic book person, so the show provided my main way to be able to see what Gerard Way did with those comics. And overall, it was pretty great. It had a couple issues here and there, mainly relating to pacing, with some scenes that could have been cut or just shortened a little bit. However though, the great stuff in it were absolutely fantastic. The cast was great, it had a fantastic soundtrack, a really interesting time travel plot, and overall it just felt very exciting and new. However, 18 months later, I feel that Season 2 fell quite a bit short of its own potential and living up to the first season. First though, I think it would be good to go over some of the things I think Season 2 did really well. I really enjoyed a lot of the new characters they introduced, and I thought all the actors did a really fantastic job, both returning and new. I'm getting a little bit tired of Five's whole I'm better than everybody shtick, as he hasn't had much of a character development since the first season, but Eden Gallagher still does a really great job performing as him, and I think they could go more places with him in Season 3. I actually prefer Season 2's soundtrack more than Season 1. They go for a lot of variety with this soundtrack, and while there are some picks I didn't really care for, such as Billie Eilish's Bad Guy or Hello by Adele done in Swedish, there were plenty of ones that I absolutely loved and I thought were just great. With all that said though, I think now's probably a good time to go ahead and talk about the problems that I had with this season. Starting with the fact that I think they just really bit off more than they could chew with this season. They have so many different ideas and plot lines going on, with there being stuff with the Commission, the end of the world, segregation, there's a whole plot line with Vanya and a farm, there's just so much stuff happening at once, and it's really hard for it to really focus on any one of them. Constantly feels the need to jump cut to them throughout an episode, to the point where it just gets really annoying, as there's just some that you really want to see finally finish out, and they just feel the need to keep cutting back and forth to all these other plot lines. And even with all these new ideas and storylines, they still feel the need to constantly repeat ones from Season 1, with the whole end of the world thing returning back, as well as a lot of characters and specific moments from Season 1 returning as well. A good chunk of time and episodes is spent showing flashbacks to the first season, which I guess is okay to catch someone up, but as someone that has seen the show very thoroughly, it just gets really dumb because I already know all these things and I don't need a constant reminder of what happened in the first season. For the most part, all the characters seem to get a lot of interesting new arcs, and a lot of storylines that are really interesting. However, Five and Luther seem to be the exceptions to this, as they basically just act like how they did in Season 1 for the most part. I'm sure they're planning something for him in Season 3, but with how much of a dramatic change Allison had in a character, and Klaus as well, it just comes off as a little bit strange that they also didn't have much of a change in their character. Problem inherited though from Season 1 again is that strange pacing. A lot of characters get moments that last for way too long, and then others don't feel like they last long enough. For example, we don't really get to see a lot of Klaus's whole cult thing that he has going, but yet we get significant time for a montage of him getting drunk. It just feels like weird priorities they have here when it comes to their storytelling, and I don't really get it. Like, in one episode, they start with a whole backstory to show how Alice got into the civil rights movement, but it didn't really say anything new, though, that we couldn't have already picked up in our heads about it. It just felt like a giant waste of time after it was all over. Finally, though, I think the biggest problem that this season really had was when it came down to villains. Hazel and Cha-Cha were fantastic threats in the first season, as they had great designs, really interesting characters, and they genuinely changed a lot throughout the show, and as your feelings towards them also changed as it went along. In Season 2, they replaced them with these 3 Swedish guys, which, I mean, again, maybe they'll have more for them in Season 3, but I feel like after an 18-month wait, there should be more to immediately be satisfying, and with these Swedish guys, there's just nothing. They're so boring and dull, and they don't really have any kind of cool designs or characteristics. It's just the one guy drinks milk, and the other guy has the cat. It's just not really that interesting, and it just gets really annoying because I wasn't so much scared about these villains, I was just really bored by them. I also decided to bring the Handler back, which at first I was pretty excited about since I liked her in Season 1, but they changed her character really dramatically in this season. In the first season, she was a very clever woman that was very respectful of Five and his abilities, and respectful of the Umbrella Academy as a whole, but in Season 2, she goes full-on Disney villain and feels like the stepmother from Cinderella at many places. I just think they went way too far with their character traits, and it just came off as really childish. And while I thought the big final fight at the end was pretty cool, it once again still had these problems. Things just go on for way too long, and certain things just aren't prioritized as much as they should. Like, there's one scene where just a bunch of bricks land on Five, and you think it's this big thing, but it's like nothing, because they're papier-mâché rocks, and he just puts them up, and then he goes away. Like, what was the point of that? Also, it should really be noted that the entire final fight felt extremely similar to Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2's ending, strangely enough, with them all fighting in the snow and the whole fake killing them thing. It was just a little bit bizarre. I mean, for someone that doesn't want their vampire money, they sure are referencing it. I don't really know where they're gonna go from here with this cliffhanger either. It was a little bit silly, actually, and it kind of made me laugh when I first saw it. But I don't know, though. It could still be interesting, and I definitely want to see where they go with Ben in the next season. So as a whole, I didn't think Season 2 is terrible, but I definitely think it falls short of what The Umbrella Academy could be as a show. I think they really need to figure out their pacing issues, and just overall need to have a bit more of a simpler story next season, and not try to have so many plot lines going on at once. I also noticed that while watching Season 2, the credits in the opening were different people than Season 1. I don't really know how much an effect that really had on the show with having new people, but I can wonder if that's maybe why some of the writing and pacing felt a little bit off in places. A big thing to note though with this video is that by no means do I want Umbrella Academy to fail as a show. I think it has fantastic potential, and I absolutely want to see it succeed and get better, especially with Gerard Way now coming back with My Chemical Romance. I just really think there's things they need to improve with the next season if it's still going to keep going and still being fresh, new, and exciting. Especially considering that in just a month The Boys Season 2 comes out, and I mean, no offense to Umbrella Academy, but that's going to kind of completely decimate it. However though, I've been seeing a lot of people who enjoy Season 2, and if you do, that's really great. I really wish I could have enjoyed it a lot. But hopefully the next season they can improve from some of these things, and we can maybe have the best season of the show yet, and maybe have many seasons for that matter. Anyway though, this is literally the first video I've ever done, so sorry if I sound terrible, but thank you for watching if you did, and I hope you have a great day. So, bye-bye.